Welcome back. Thanks for watching. I really do appreciate it. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. It's free. Just push the button. Also, if you have a comment, question, throw it in the comment section. I try to answer what I can. This video, back on the M715, and it's not a lot of big stuff. It's a lot of little stuff. There are a ton of accessory things that you really need to do when you're doing some of these builds. Some of them are for nothing more than visual aesthetics, but a lot of them are really details that require you to do to make it operate correctly. So we're going to do a handful of both of those and kind of get caught up on the little stuff. After we get the little stuff done, then we'll get back to doing, big adventure stuff on this. But for now, let's get started. Well, remember when we finished up the shifters and stuff, we got the shift boots on and that tunnel done. So we got a big chunk of the interior done already, as well as the dash. But I found me a center console, which is just a CJ-YJ center console. And using the original battery mount for these 715s, I made a little bracket for the front. And then I just cut a piece of flat stock for the rear, drilled a hole, and I'm just welding it to that piece of structure in the floor in the rear. Once I got that welded in, pulled the console out, squirt a little paint on everything, and bolt it back in. Next up, I cut a couple holes in the side of this console to mount these speakers in. These speakers are just left over from another project. The same thing with this Kenwood stereo. I just pulled it out of a parts truck that I was parting out and recycled it. So I've got a stereo in my 715 for the cost of nothing. Looking back on the original photo of this, you can see these seats are not original to a 715, and I really like these seats. They're comfortable, but they only sat 3 inches from the original steering wheel. So I changed the original steering wheel to an aftermarket steering wheel and got it about 4 inches away. That was still not enough, so then it was time to disassemble and cut up the brackets. Cutting the brackets really isn't that big a deal. You want to be consistent on front to rear, left to right, and keep in mind that the floor has multiple holes drilled in it, so I'm not worried about where they mount to the floor. I'm just worried about the height at this point. So I chopped about 2.5 to 3 inches out of them. Then I set them in the floor and lined up some angle iron with holes that were already existing in the floor because I didn't want to drill anything else. Then I drilled those pieces of angle iron, set the seats in them, tack welded them together, then pulled them out and fully welded all the mounting assemblies where they will bolt to the floor. And I think it'll work. You can see where the angle iron's welded to the brackets and then where the bolt to the floor. And then I also, just as a little side note, had to cut and re-weld the slide handle for the front to rear. Now I've got about 6 inches of clearance between the steering wheel and the seat. A little easier on your legs when you're getting in and out of this thing. I'm initially scribing it, but we usually destroy these friction wheels doing aluminum. If you want them to last longer, you can put some liquid soap on it. It'll keep the cutoff wheel cleaner. But to me, the best is I'll sacrifice a couple of these. So a couple more scribes and we'll be through this one. One of the things I always do is save pieces and scraps. So it's not really black or green, but it's okay. It's going to dull down a little bit. But I'll show you what I'm going to make out of these scraps. I'm going to cut this stuff with friction wheels. You'll have to take a flat file and knock off the corner and a little bit of slide, it comes off real easy. So, 5 minutes with a file and it really cleans the edges up nice, makes it look like it was shear cut. And since I don't have a shear, this will work. First thing I do, get all my marked holes for mounting these plates where I want them, and I'm drilling them through from the back side on my marked locations with just a regular pilot bit. Then I'll flip it over, which you can see here, and I drill it into the countersink so that when I run screws into it, it'll lay down flush. All pretty and nice countersink. All right, so here's what I'm doing with these. It dawned on me those holes there are for screws, and the ones you can buy from places like BJ's, they've got the pinch seam that goes over, and they look really good. And on a regular build that wasn't an Army truck, I would probably just do that. But I think this fits a little more. It still has some utilitarian to it, but it kind of blends that modern stuff with it too. This GT steering wheel I really like, but it won't accommodate a horn wire going through it to the column. So I went ahead and mounted this horn button to the dash to an existing hole, and I mounted this horn from an F350 that I parted out. I also decided I found a good spot for the receiver for the GPS speedometer right on the dash. I also recycled this trailer brake controller out of one of the trucks I parted out. I figure I might need that with the gooseneck. My heater box is out of a J20, but all these fans I'm finding are just junk motors. So I, again, recycled it out of this Ford F350. Once you get it centered and drill the new holes in that housing, it works just fine. High speed, low speed, everything. Remember, I built that little bracket for the blackout light on the hood. I had the bracket, but I didn't have how it mounted to the hood, so I just made it up as I went. I found this LED spotlight online, went ahead and mounted that, got it wired, and I've already run all the wires from the dash and everything, so once under the hood, just hook it up and secure it and ready to go. Continuing finishing up some wiring, I mounted an ARB compressor under the hood. I'm already wired in the dash for it. Adjusted the compressor tank where I wanted it, the shutoffs. I can use it for airing up tires or my locker. Moving to the outside, I drilled out a couple of these 1/8 tabs. The tabs on the axle for the brake lines, and you can see I use that metal brake line that I like so much because it's easy to bend. And then we go to the other tab and up on to a braided steel line. Next, up on the rear end, I took a couple of flat bottom tabs and welded them to the original bump stop pads. For lower shock mounts, I used the original upper shock mounts, and these are just stock Wagoneer CJ shocks, so I didn't have to order anything weird, and they were inexpensive. The front lower shock brackets were a little harder. I took the original F350 brackets and I chopped them up, and then I welded them to the U-bolt plates on the front axle. Once I had those all welded, cleaned them up, repainted them, reinstalled them, torqued the U-bolts, and now I have a good lower shock mount. Well, sometimes things do work out. These are the bump stop brackets for the front bump stops, but they just had a little bump stop on them. These are the spacer blocks for the rear bump stops, and these are actually the rear bump stops. Since I did the flip, I needed to extend it a couple, 3 inches. So I used the front original brackets, the rear bump stop spacers, and then the bump stops that were in the best shape of any of them. Gives me 4 or 5 inches until it would make contact. I'm not real concerned about it actually hitting that bump stop, but I have had a leaf spring break before and then it collapsed, and I would rather have this thing drop and hit the stop and save a whole bunch of other components like drive shafts, oil pans, steering linkage, things like that. So Yay, more obstacles. I'm getting closer. I'm on the downhill stretch now. Front metal tab, brake line. We're done there, and I use a spring on the lines in order to keep them away from snagging on stuff. Well, it's time to do something with some body work in the bed of this thing. I finished welding all the holes in it. I roll-on bed linered it, and then I painted it with the same paint that I've been painting everything else with. Again, recycling parts. This is a piece of a tray for the center console. I welded a little plate in it, drilled a hole, cut myself a piece of the scrap diamond plate aluminum, and made myself a trailer hitch wire connector for that gooseneck. And more painting so I can do more cool stuff, like build the shovel bracket for the shovel that I found at the implement dealer. The other side takes a pickaxe and an axe, which the axe came with it, and the pickaxe I just got at the local implement dealer. Now I made metal brackets to hold everything in tight, and then I'll lace some of the straps over it later just so it looks like it came that way. The tailgate was a problem. There was a big dent where someone backed into something, and it was tweaked so bad it wouldn't close. So I cut that dented section out, bent the tailgate back, hammered the dent out, and welded the piece back in. Then, once it's all welded in, you can grind it down, and I'm not grinding anything to perfection since it's an old Army truck. And once it was ground down, throw a coat of paint on it, and voila. Looks like brand new, right? I took some time in the detail on the tailgate. First thing, I found these plastic coated chains, and it was plastic green, so I used them, cut them to length, added a carabiner, and I've got really nice quiet tailgate chains. One of the next details I decided to do on this, I found some stencils. I blocked off the little circle pattern and just used the star and stenciled away here. The star cleaned up really nice. I had a little bit of blowover. You notice the reflectors. Now, these originally came with a green painted bezel, but I kind of like the aluminum. I just picked those up at the local implement dealer. They were like $3. Well, on the tail end of this, I went ahead and removed the D-ring mounts, the bumperettes, the pintle hitch, and then started rebuilding the pintle hitch. And a good pintle hitch is nice to have when you need one. Once it was all done, I reassembled it. Pin, grease, everything. It works perfect. I also found the little bumperettes that go in the tailgate, which those are made to hit the bumperettes if you fold the gate all the way down. Cleaned and painted, reinstalled the bumperettes and the D-ring retainers and all grade 8 bolts. Okay, cool factor here. Remember the gas can that came on this? This is what it looked like inside it after I cut it open. So I cleaned out what I could. Obviously not going to use it for gasoline anymore. And it's cut in half now. You can see where I cut it in half. Now, when I cut it in half, I welded a hinge to the back of it. I started off with spot welds, made sure it hinged where I want it to, and then I fully welded it later. Drilled these holes in the bottom of it to match the mounting tray. Welded a nut to the inside and a hasp so that I can close this up. Then put a little bit of weather strip around it and painted it. I used these tabs basically for washers inside those holes, and I left one hole open so that water could drain because it's not going to be watertight. Added a little chain so it won't flop forward all the way, and now I have a place to keep oil, antifreeze, stuff like that, and it still looks pretty cool. And this is what it looks like even with the decorative strap on it. Okay, got a lot of the little stuff done. Got a lot more little stuff to do, but I do a lot of this little stuff while I'm waiting for parts to show up, and those parts have shown up. So next time on the build video, I should be able to get all of the Hydro Assist steering done. We've got the ram and all the lines and brackets and tabs and such here. I'll also be able to get the drive shafts completely installed, and this will be a movable vehicle. The off-roading part of this video is kind of a unique one. I was invited to do a YJ only run, so it's supposed to be Jeep YJs only. However, we have a couple people that got a little creative and decided to identify as a YJ. It made it a lot of fun. The other thing we really did on this trail is most of us have done this trail a lot, so we decided to change it up a little bit and take lines that you're not comfortable with, not used to taking, and we switched drivers around on a couple of these. So this is actually a pretty fun video, even though it's a trail we've done a lot. I appreciate you watching it. Please like, share, and subscribe. Also, the last 10 seconds of this video is pretty cool. So with that, let's go trail riding. So what do you do when you have a YJ run and you don't have a YJ? You just identify as one. People being pretty creative today. He actually did the whole grill strapped to the front. Good job on this XJ. Look how long those legs stretch on them coilovers. Beautiful, nice crawl.
Ava, move.
Make sure your spotter's not sending you the wrong direction, just for fun and entertainment. Keep an eye on the spotters here. John actually does have nitrous on this 5.3 LS in this. I've seen him have to roll in a new set of bearings in it as well. It'll slide if he just turns and drives.
Dig from here, now dig it down.
It's fun when one of your friends is willing to throw some video of you on there. I never get to see myself drive. Keep going. Little driver. He's
rubbing that rock instead of on it. But just go easy, and I think
if he goes through, it'll
you'll
be fine.
okay if you go through it. Yeah, exactly.
He's good. Just go.
Go, 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 go.
Beautiful. She's on a really good line there, Luke. It looks really good over here. Just to throw a little added difficulty to this obstacle, this one's a manual transmission, so she's got an extra foot to worry about in there. still there if you can get it started.
How about that?
Now there's a technique.
Come on, baby. All right, now what?
You're pointing the right way now. Forward.
Straight forward?
He's pointing the right way. If that rear end comes up, it'll drive right up now. Here it go. It's on it. Go. Yeah, yeah. Yeehaw.
Camera over there too.
Come up high on this. Get that rear tire in the air. Your front will start coming up. You're fine. Just drive forward.
Your front's gonna come up on your right. Take driver. There you go. Put your hands in. Touch your fingertips.
I decided on the second half of the trail I wanted to just do some video, so a young lady friend of mine, their whole family's friends of mine actually, Emma, she is going to drive my Jeep on the entire second half of this trail. First time she drove my Jeep, she's about 10, so she does a real good job. She's very confident and very capable. And to top it off, her boyfriend's here from Indianapolis. He's never done this before. Get up on that and then turn this way. Okay, come on up. You're up. It'll start climbing. Just a little passenger. Beautiful. Go high on this rock. Just keep it straight right there. You're all the way up. We're gonna have to use the harnesses on him. You can go forward another couple feet and you'll be level again. Way cool line. A little bit further. Now you'll probably have to get in that crack of that rock to get over it. There you go. Should go.
You at least stay far left.
casual lunch. For the rear? I think I can. Perfect. You're on the line. Okay, now the left front's going to come up. Now straighten it out. Keep it straight, and then when you come off of it, after the rear climbs, just have to go down slower and it'll crash. Got a little ways. You'll feel it. Pretty well lined up. Should be able to just crawl it. Turn right. And with that, Emma is not only driving my Jeep, but as of last week, she walked with her class at Wyotech Technical Training. She is now a certified automotive and chassis graduate. So I know she's going to do great things. Thanks for watching.